If he wins from this, it would be just insane. Oh.
The king is
Oh.
running. King is running.
Oh, king.
Arju.
Come
If
on.
he wins this.
Wanders not simply face Levon Aronian, opening with pawn to e4, then play e6 in response, Le Francais variation, Arjun Erigaisi whispering on guard in his best French accent, then run into d4, d5, face off into the exchange variation, very dull, a few fans literally falling asleep, and then go on to drum up winning chances, which is what Arjun does here with the black pieces. This is some black magic. It's the Chennai Masters final day, absolute drama. This was the best game for me, and I'll bring the full tournament results and everything else to come. Can Arjun drum up the winning chances here? Knight f3 played, knight f6, we get bishop d3, and we start to see why this is considered quite dull, quite boring. There's very little imbalance, pawn structure symmetrical, and now after c4 we normally call this an explosive move, but it actually dampens the position here like a fire extinguisher. It's like telling her on the first date that you're a chess nerd, kind of puts out the flame. We get bishop d6, both players now castle, quick king safety fist bump, exploded out, the fans appreciate it. Now we get bishop g5 and that one's attacked, so it retreats. Insightful commentary as ever here on Septic Cheese. Do consider subscribing if you haven't yet done so. And now bishop g4 continues the development, both players bringing out the ponies, protecting their brother. Now we see rook e1, queen c7, Levon twitches his queen over to the b1 square, and this rook now challenges the only open file on the board. Always more important when there's only one of them. And now look at these pieces, they're disappearing faster than Kramnik's credibility. There goes another set, that's rook and minor piece gone, and it's in this position here, things looking very drawish, that we get this comment.
If he wins from this, it would be just insane.
What's Arjun going to do from here? Well, he starts with g5 for the high five. Gary the debt collector gaining some space, does weaken the black king though. This bishop sliding back, another set of pieces leave the board, and now rook e2. Looks like you're making some headway, but here comes the neighborhood watch. Bit of a rookus out on the street. Get back to where you came from here. Now we see queen c2, knight e4, and after rook e1, knight d to f6, we see more pieces leaving the board. You can plant the knight on the outpost, but Levon drops back, challenges Arjun's strong piece here, so he drops to d6 there, looking to keep the pieces on the board, and after rook e5, attacking the pawn, it forces this change of structure. But it's in Levon's favour here, as the pawn now kicks the pony back to the back rank, and he finds this great move now of pawn to e6. Not forced, but it rips open the king. In comes the queen here with a whoosh, checking the king, knight blocks, and the pawn is won back, plus Arjun's king is exposed. He goes g4 to save that pawn, queen g6 hits it once more, but things suddenly get a bit interesting because queen b6 is played, and although the g pawn's dropping, look at the queen side. You can play queen c2 here to drop back cover, but instead we see b3. Now queen a5, Arjun probing here with filigree precision. Again queen c2 possible, but things explode now with takes on c4. Now the queen crashing through here, knight under fire, queen e2, or king e2 rather, and now this check is played, driving the king to the back rope. We get takes on c4, and who knows what's going on here. Apparently you should take according to Stock Guppy. This the strongest move. Yes, you can check, yes you can pick up a pawn, yes you've got these passes, looks really dangerous, but apparently white's got enough counterplay with the knight retreating and this queen all in the black king's face. Okay, but not played, the pawn not touched. Instead we see the question marks of doom after Levon takes on g4. Arjun has a winning move here with queen a1 check. It wasn't found, wasn't played. This is the top line, but then the pawn runs and you've got big problems. The computer just wants to give up a knight here, because if you move it somewhere like this, let's say, then the pawn's running, and how do you actually stop it? You know, queen f4, so what? You make the queen, etc. No good. So this was good, followed by c3, but missed. b5 played, given the question mark or the X there. Now we see queen e4, but queen d5, excellent centralizing move. Look at that absolute black widow spider. We won't draw all the legs, and if you take here, well, you give black this avalanche of pawns. So king c2 played. Now this knight re-enters the game. It's kicked, checks from d4. Levon staggers up the board, apparently king b1 best, but he does create a threat to win a minor piece. So Arjun drops back, not the best, but they're playing on seconds here. Now we get the check, and this is where the game just gets absolutely crazy, because these checks landing on the board, but look at where the king is getting driven to. This is the moment. The commentators are freaking. The game's exploding.
Oh.
The king is running. King is running.
Oh, king.
Arjun.
Come on.
He wins this.
We now see king to c8, queen e4 back to defend, and b4 check played. These aren't the best moves, but it's what's on the board, and still Arjun is making progress. His pawn's running, the knight's kicked, covering the queen, so you have to take first. Pawn recaptures, then move your knight, and it's at this moment that Levon makes a terminal mistake. He should go knight f1. He's a bit worse, but it's still a game here. But instead, he plays the move of knight to b3. Terrible blunder. Look at the stock nest monster absolutely poop its pants, but it should be known that at this very moment, some of the top chefs in the country were away to the side cooking up a lovely meal for the players. Vishy was on head chef duty, cooking up a delicacy of
mushrooms,
as he loves to do. The scent of such deliciousness entered the playing hall through Levon for just a moment. It allows Arjun to take here. Pawn recaptures, d4, and you've got a huge problem, because although these pawns are running, the black king comes over to corral them, and after this king reaches d3, there isn't actually a threat to take this pawn, which is why Arjun waits. If you do, this simply runs and you can't get back in time. So this was played instead, Levon just waiting, Arjun doing the same, and the problem is that when these white pawns advance, you're not forced to take. This would be a losing move. Suddenly this runs and you can't get behind it, not back in time. So what do you do instead? You wait and you force white to keep pushing those pawns. This is what was played in the game here. Still you don't take, you step back, and the final move was a4, because now when this king steps, you can't actually get over to the pawn in time. If takes, b3 comes, and this is the critical line. Thought I had this worked out. No, I don't. Must have done it earlier. a5 now played. b2, you step back, but then you run with this pawn. If takes, you make a queen. If you step back, then you go here, and one of these is going through, completely unavoidable. And if you ever push like this, well, now you can simply take, and you're covering, blockading those pawns. So Arjun takes this win on demand. Incredible stuff. Goes to Armageddon, but then Levon makes the draw with the black pieces, so he goes to the final with Aravind, and it was there that the youngster, well, 25 years old or so, Aravind actually won those tie breaks. He wins the entire Chennai Masters. Very well played to him. Hope you enjoyed this one. Check out the video on screen for another epic game of chess, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers.